Okay, so this has to do with space propaganda, it has to do with Star Wars, and I already rattled off a video. For the most part, this isn't lesser magic, but it does highlight my modus operandi in a number of ways versus what you will fucking find online and what people will speak to. Now, you can sit through this, 59 minutes worth, roughly enough, and it's going to be a rehashing of the same old shit that you've probably heard a billion fucking times, if you're in these circles. Keep in mind, I'm a fan of Star Wars, but it is an adult fairy tale through and through, and it is in place to mislead people. The Empire Strikes Back in particular does contain lesser magic, because our masters are flat out fucking laughing at us, but people haven't figured that out. By and large, what I left in here, where's it at? Start with this one, because towards the beginning, there's this jazz. You might have seen some little glowing sticks in there. It's Revenge of the Sith. It's when that crap was released. You know, it's a cash grab. People didn't figure it out for the most part. And so what I said in here is, and this isn't great, but it's telling of the masses and what they would go on to support. So I love how many people bought into multicolored glowing sticks that do not resemble lightsabers. For fuck's sake. Then the topmost comment. And a lot of people don't know about this, apparently. Most modern fans of Star Wars have no idea what the Despecialized project entailed. Bear in mind, there would be no need for such a project if Star Wars was alive and well at the time, since this is titled This Junk. And he's got a tombstone on there where he says Star Wars died in 2020, or 2012, pardon me. So, back to point. I'll read this, then I'll shut the fuck up for the most part. I think. And this thing should work, but yeah. I had to edit it because it said Marshall, not Marsha. Naturally, this never comes up. Empire Strikes Back was the last Star Wars film left in the public sphere. By 1983, Marsha Lucas and Kurtz, I believe his name is Gary Kurtz, if memory serves me well, had disowned George Lucas for numerous reasons, some of which include but are not limited to selling out to the toy companies, not listening to advice that worked on both of the prior films, but best of all, for not following the original outline. There's a reason we're told there is another. It's because Luke had a sister that we never saw in the film. Well, we never saw in, Return of the Jedi, and we were supposed to. In place of that, and this is what do they call it when they roll it back? I can't think of it offhand, but this is why we had an incestuous kiss now in Empire Strikes Back, because Leia isn't supposed to be Luke's sister. So, back to point. Do you remember the first film wouldn't have been a success unless George's wife, this is Marsha Lucas again, at the time had properly edited the footage. And these things usually don't come up, and they should. I'm curious if any of the fans in here can tell me what the name of the short film that originally played before Star Wars, and it should say was. I'll have to change that. Because it's also very telling. I said this is space propaganda. And if people were connecting the dots, there's a film. It's a short film. It's not great. It's all right. I still keep a copy because I think it's pretty neat just knowing the history, because I do like Star Wars. I'm curious if any of you in this channel that I moderate know any of these things, if you guys are a fan. What I'm getting at with this and what I'm poorly highlighting is people don't research. They do not research. This kid's going to knock out an hour-long video about this crap. This came out 2 days ago. So it's relevant, it's modern, it's new. And he's not going to dance back and give you any of the history. A moment ago in this, where was it? I don't know if I'll be able to find it. There's the Star Wars jazz. But shortly after this, he mentioned Star Wars and how it's related to a number of other projects where it got its inspiration. But what he's referring to is a Jar Jar Binks scene in the fucking cash grab prequels that has nothing to do with Star Wars and came well after Star Wars was functionally dead and sold out. And he parallels it with another film where it's slapstick shit, where a guy's running down a hill from barrels. And then in modern times, we got, again, the cash grab prequel garbage, where you see CGI rolling bullshit that explodes, and that unbelievably annoying character running down a hill. Yeah. What the fuck do I know? People aren't digging deep, and this is why most people are just doing the same. We are not cultivating the best and the brightest. I realize this is just a Star Wars post, and a lot of people can't think about more than one thing at a time anymore. They can't multitask. They can't juggle concepts. No mental gymnastics. It's fucking pathetic. It's fucking pathetic. I'm illustrating a point in here. It's not the best delivery as usual, but more likely than not, 3 bots will be shown this, and I'll supposedly have views on this video, and humans will not see this and or give a fuck. Just like all of the other videos I've left online where I do teach you guys things. Now, I don't know if I rattle it off in here because I recorded this twice. A moment ago, I rattled off, when I'm talking to you guys, in many cases, I will dish up lesser magic. Just because most of you are superficial as fuck, and you're not being shown, or something's not being spelled out, doesn't mean that I'm not teaching you things. And people haven't realized that. I've pulled away most of the flashy stuff that I had on the accounts. And I've taken out most of the superficial versions of my take on lesser magic, where I spoon feed you shit. What still exists on the numerous channels I moderate, lesser magic. Each one of them still contains lesser magic. But people aren't very bright these days, unfortunately. And you and I are surrounded by them, and it's a fucking problem. But that would be painfully obvious, and people would be worried about it, and people would be doing things to change it if you and I were surrounded by well-meaning people. Capable of abstract thought, blah, 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 but as always, what the fuck do I know?